talking today to Stephen Markovitz, who is the CEO of Big World Films, who produce African movies. Stephen, your last movie, Viva Riva, how's that been doing?
It's been really great. It's had a really good run around the world. It's been released in the US, Canada, France, Belgium, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and it's doing particularly well in France. It was in Berlin and Toronto. It won the African Movie of the Year at the MTV Awards and various honors. So it's had a good life. But what we focused on is really trying to build an audience in Africa for the film, and we've done this release of the film in 19 African countries. It's still going on. It's in month 9. Probably got another 6 months to go.
You're also translating it into Swahili, aren't you?
Yeah, we will be doing a Swahili version, dubbed version of the film, which will be for the kind of second tier theatrical release. You know, we think that Swahili, there's approximately 120 million people who speak Swahili, and a lot of those people might not speak English. So we want to start making films for that audience, and we think it's an untapped audience that we need to start engaging with.
Viva Riva is unusual as an African film because it's a genre movie, it's a thriller, it has pace, it's urban. You were saying earlier, in many ways it's pushed the envelope, it's not politically correct. How's that come across?
Well, you know, the director was very conscious of that. You know, if you look at the history of African cinema, a lot of the films that are being made are kind of general dramas, are moral tales, the cliche of the woman in the village with a calabash on her head. A lot of these films deal with kind of heavy political, social issues. And Joe, the director, made a very conscious decision that he wants to make a film that is first and foremost entertaining, you know, the kind of noir thriller genre, and to kind of change this perception of African cinema as homework or medicine, to make something that you really want to go and see. And through that entertainment, obviously given the context, there are issues that will come out. You know, it was the first film made in the Congo in 25 years. Obviously the Congo has been in the news a lot, and this was trying to find another way of opening a window into that society.
And you are shortly to be making a film with Wanuri Kahui, who is made a short called Pumzi, which was a science fiction short.
Yes.
The film will be a feature film. You're also doing, is it Dr. Lou?
Inspector Lou.
Inspector
yes.
Lou, my
yes.
apologies. Yeah.
Yes, no, not at all. Yes, with Wanuri we're adapting a book. We're not, at this stage we're not talking about the subject of it. I executive produced a short film, Pumzi, and I think she's a really talented filmmaker with great vision, and I think a strong feature film will help put her and her vision on the world stage of cinema, and that's really what we want to do. You know, for example, I was speaking to someone from a major film festival recently, and they were saying they received 1,000 entries to the festival from Asia and 11 entries from Africa. And I think that says a lot, is that we're not making enough films that are getting on the world stage, and we're also not making enough effort in marketing our films. And I think Wanuri's film will have that presence and will hopefully travel really far.
And so Inspector Lou is again a return to a genre thriller. Describe the setup for that.
Well, that's Joe Munga's making that film. It's a Chinese Congo cop thriller. It's looking at a Chinese policeman who comes to Congo to catch a villain and gets into all kinds of trouble along the way. And you know, we're really trying to tackle this story about China and Africa, which is such a massive story. And we all know China is making major inroads and are building many roads in Africa. And there's been a number of documentaries made on this subject, but there hasn't been a big feature film to kind of tackle it. And I think this relationship between China and Africa is very curious to the rest of the world. And someone like Joe, who has the ability to make something entertaining, will be able to bring this to a wider audience.
And the last on the slate is a documentary about Ghana. Describe that?
Sure. We're making a documentary in Ghana called Rollaball. The director's Eddie Edwards. And it's basically looking at these guys who had polio as kids, don't have the use of their legs, and they play this game called skate soccer, which is soccer on skateboards. It's a very aggressive game, it's very physical, and in a way what we're trying to do with that film is to kind of challenge this notion of Africa as a victim, and to show even people who are often the most downtrodden in society can be very competitive, can be very kind of physical, and have ambitions. And this phenomenon of skate soccer is only in West Africa, and we're very excited about that.
And you're raising money from it through Kickstarter. Describe that process.
Yeah, well, we're going to launch a Kickstarter campaign as one of the ways to raise money. We'll also be taking it to broadcasters and funders to raise money there. But we've spent the last few months kind of building this campaign. We're going to launch it in about a month's time to kind of build an audience. I mean, the purpose of Kickstarter is twofold. The one is to raise money to make the film. The other one is to develop an audience and a following for the film, and to kind of take them with us through the process of making a film, and also so by the time the film comes out, there are people who know something about it, who've been fed some information about the film, and then will hopefully go and see it, will tell their friends, will buy the DVD, will buy it online, etc.
But you were saying earlier that the success of those kind of campaigns in many ways are not anything to do with the film or the filmmaker, they're to do with the issues in many ways.
I think so. We've been doing quite a lot of research into what works and what doesn't, and I think the mistake a lot of filmmakers make when they do a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign is they focus very much on the film, the filmmaker, the style of filmmaking, and I think they focus more on cinema than on the issues. Whereas I think the successful campaigns have been ones that have focused on the issues and have found communities of interest who have a specific interest in those issues and are motivated to see a film like this made. Unless you're a superstar filmmaker, who the filmmaker is not so important to the audience. It's more, what is that film dealing with? What issues is it dealing with? So we're really going to try and focus on these issues in terms of polio, ending polio, football in general, skateboarding, life in Africa, disability and sport, health issues, and at the moment we're forming alliances with a number of key players in those areas, so that when we launch this campaign, hopefully there is some following already around that.
Stephen, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you.